Hi, student. Good morning. Today we are going to discuss topic number 12. The title is respiration. Okay, so firstly, you should know the definition of respiration. Respiration is a process in which food is broken down and energy is released. Okay, so this is the process of formation of energy, and this process take place inside the cell. Specifically, one cell organelle is responsible for this process, that is mitochondrion. Okay, so in mitochondrion, there is a reaction of oxygen and glucose, and energy is made. Okay, also, it takes place, in between the cells where oxygen is not available. So in the absence of oxygen, this process take place, and it makes lactic acid. Now we'll come to the slides show. Okay, the first slide you can see here, there is a definition of respiration, and the main purpose of respiration, is to make energy. Now the question arises, in which processes, the energy is utilized, energy is used. So see, this energy is used in the muscle contraction. This energy also used in protein synthesis. This energy is also used in the division of cell. This energy is also used in the active transport. You know very well that we have discussed this active transport in topic number 3. This energy is also used in the growth process. Growth means when we take food, okay, and we grow in size, grow in weight, and grow in height. Also, this energy is used in the transmission of the electrical impulses or the nerve impulses. Also, it maintains the body temperature. Now come to the diagrammatical expression. See here. Here, see uses of energy in the body of human. The first, you can see maintenance of the constant body temperature, as you can see here. Another, the cell division or the growth. When you are born, you are very small. After the division of cells, okay, you grow in size, you grow in weight, grow in height. It is all because of the energy. This energy is also used in the active transport, where the molecules move from lower concentration to the higher concentration using the energy. This energy, as you can see here, also used in the protein synthesis. When so many amino acids, combine together, they make a specific type of protein. This energy is also used in the muscle contraction. Okay, when you are walking or when you are taking exercise, okay, your muscles contract and relax, due to which you just perform your job. So this is possible only when the energy is available. Now, this energy is also used in the passage of nerve impulses, when there is a transmission of the electrical impulses, so it requires energy. Now, here, we have to discuss the different types of respiration. The first is aerobic respiration. What is aerobic respiration? Aerobic, as you know, it is obvious by its name that aerobic means the oxygen is required. Okay, and it is defined as the chemical reactions in cell that use oxygen to break down nutrients molecules to release energy. It is a complete breakdown of glucose to release a relatively large amount of energy for use in the cell process. It produces carbon dioxide gas and water, as well as releasing useful cellular energy. So as you can see in the diagram, okay, see that glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen, and you see here on the arrow there is a diagram of mitochondria, because this process takes place inside the mitochondria, where carbon dioxide gas and water are produced. With the carbon dioxide and water, high amount of energy is also produced in the form of ATP. ATP, you know very well that it is a energy rich compound, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. Now, there's also, investigating of uptake of oxygen by respiring organisms. How can you investigate it? For this purpose, you have to take a test tube, okay, and fix the capillary tube there, okay, and then the U type of tube is to be taken. After that, again, the capillary tube, is taken, which is to be inserted into another another test tube. In one test tube, there is one organisms like, maybe insects. Okay. So this insects, does the respiration. In respiration, the CO2 is produced. Okay. And this CO2, when it enters into the YouTube type, YouTube shape type of, like, tube. So it like, it react with the solutions. Okay. And the other test tube, you can see here, the glass beads are there. Okay, which doesn't show any, like, response. Now see, we can investigate the aerobic respiration in living organism by measuring the amount of oxygen that they take from the air. This is done by measuring the change in the volume in an enclosed tube containing the organisms. You can see here, here the organism is there. However, they respire, the organism release carbon dioxide gas, which increases the gas volume. This carbon dioxide gas must therefore be removed from the tube using a chemical like soda lime or sodium hydroxide. Otherwise, it will make the experiment result inaccurate. Any small organism can be used to in the apparatus, including the seed or arthropod. Yes, sometime, the question is given in the paper, exam paper, then in this tube, they put, like, some arthropods. Okay, or sometime they put it to the seed, because seed also respire. Okay, so this apparatus, the apparatus shown below is known as respirometer. This is a respirometer, as you can see here. On one side, there is a insects. You can also keep the seed. At the other side, the glass beads are there. So of course the glass bead do not respire because they are non-living thing, but the living thing only respire. Specifically, the animals or the seed can also be placed. Now see, the apparatus consists of two tubes, one containing the living organism and the other one will have glass beads to act as a control. Once the apparatus has been set up, the movement of the colored liquid towards the insects will give a measure of the volume of oxygen taken up by the insects for respiration. The reduction of volume in the tube increases the pressure, causing the colored liquid to move. The distance moved by the liquid in a given time is measured, will provide the volume of oxygen taken in by the insects per minute. Now see, the another thing here, the investigating the effect of temperature on the rate of respiration. As you know that as the rate of respiration is more, okay, so temperature is also more, because the process of respiration produces the heat. Okay, so investigate the effect of temperature on the rate of respiration of generating seeds. To in the respirometer can be set up the tube submerged in a series of water bath set at different temperature, for example 10 centigrade, 15 centigrade, 20 centigrade, 25 and 30 centigrade. And you know that the enzyme of the seed, okay, the enzyme of the seed requires a specific temperature. Okay, and they like, they work at the best temperature is 25 to 30 centigrade. Okay, so if, like, the enzyme work best, okay, so they convert the carbohydrate into glucose, and this glucose react with oxygen, and then the seed is to be sprouted. So seed should be kept in the water bath for 15 minutes before the start of the experiment, to ensure they have acclimated to the temperature. As the respiration is an enzyme control reaction, it is unlikely to work faster beyond or around 40 centigrade, as the enzyme will denature. So now see here, anaerobic aspiration. Now, what is anaerobic aspiration? Anaerobic aspiration, the type of respiration which carried out in the absence of molecular oxygen. Okay, so anaerobic aspiration does not require molecular oxygen and is defined as a chemical reaction in cell that breaks down nutrient molecules to release energy without using oxygen. It is the incomplete breakdown of glucose and releases relatively small amount of energy for use in the cell processes. As we already discussed that in aerobic aspiration, more energy is obtained, but in anaerobic aspiration little amount of energy is obtained, okay, and some or 2 ATP are made. It produces different breakdown products depending on the type of organism it is taking place in. You need to know the equation for anaerobic aspiration in human, animals, and in the microorganism yeast, because you see here this anaerobic aspiration, carried out in the muscles of human when the person is taking exercise and he doesn't get sufficient amount of oxygen. So glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen. It makes lactic acid. And this the same process also carried out, okay, in the yeast or fungus, which break down the glucose in carbon dioxide gas and ethanol. And this process, is very important in the dairy industry, as we are going to just study in the next slides. Now see here, anaerobic aspiration. You can see in the diagram anaerobic aspiration in muscles during the vigorous exercise. So see the glucose, glucose is to be broken down into lactic acid. Okay, and already we have discussed that this lactic acid, accumulated in between the muscle and stiffen our muscles. Okay, and even after the exercise, our breathing rate and heart rate is very high just to take up more oxygen and break down this lactic acid and normalize the pH of blood. Now lactic acid and the oxygen depth, okay, see here, lactic acid builds up the muscles and lower the pH of the cells, making them more acidic. This could denature the enzyme in cells, so it needs to be removed. Cell excrete lactic acid into the blood. When the blood passes through the liver, lactic acid is taken up into the liver cells where it is oxidized, producing carbon dioxide gas and water. Lactic acid reacts with oxygen. This is actually aerobic respiration, which lactic acid as the nutrient molecules instead of glucose. So the waste products of lactic acid oxidation are carbon dioxide gas and water. This is the reason we continue to breathe heavily and our heart rate remain high even after finishing exercise. We need to transport the lactic acid from our muscles to the liver and continue getting larger amount of oxygen into the blood to oxidize the lactic acid. This is known as repaying the oxygen debt. Yes, if there is a deficiency of oxygen, okay, an excess of carbon dioxide gas, so even after the exercise, the breathing rate is very high, heart rate is very high, so that we can get more oxygen that normalize the condition of body. Now anaerobic aspiration, if there is no sufficient amount of oxygen, so there is anaerobic aspiration in the muscle, but also this anaerobic aspiration is carried out in the fungus or yeast. Okay, if you are going to make the bread, okay, so you have to use the yeast powder. Yeast powder, is available in the kitchen. Okay, so this yeast powder is to be added, okay, to rises up the dough, because fungus respire anaerobically and produces high amount of CO2, and this CO2 rises up the dough. Okay, so you can see glucose is broken down in alcohol and CO2. This alcohol, in the bread making process, this alcohol is evaporated, but CO2 rises up the dough. Okay, if we are doing the same process for brewing, means like, we are making the alcoholic drinks. Okay, so alcohol give the alcoholic nature to the drink and CO2 give the fizzy nature to the drink. Now come to the next slides, comparing types of respiration. See, aerobic, anaerobic respiration, what is the difference? Sometimes it is asked you in the exam that what is the difference of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So see, aerobic respiration, oxygen is needed. Anaerobic oxygen is not needed. Glucose breakdown, yes. Aerobic respiration, there is a complete breakdown of glucose, but in anaerobic respiration, there is an incomplete breakdown of glucose. What are the products which are made in the aerobic respiration? So CO2 and water. And here anaerobic respiration, the lactic acid, if it take place in the muscle, but if it take place in the yeast, so CO2 and ethanol is made. Energy release, yes. Here, aerobic respiration, a lot of energy in the form of ATP is made, but in anaerobic aspiration just 2 ATP or a very little amount of energy is obtained. So now this is the topic respiration. Now it has been completed. If you have any questions, you may ask me. My WhatsApp number is there. Okay, my email address is there. Also, same video or lecture would be on the YouTube and the TikTok. You can give comments. Okay, if you have any like issue. Okay, if you have any confusion to understand any of the thing, you can ask me the question. Okay, so this is, you see here, this is about the lectures, okay, about the respiration. I hope you understand very well. Thank you very much. Bye bye.